Hello everyone and welcome back to the Long Play Club. This is a fun bonus episode, super casual, no real guidance in terms of text this week, but we are continuing our discussion, more of a debriefing on Metal Gear Solid, the legacy, the remake, the movie, whatever we want to talk about regarding MGS1. My name is Christian Buckley. I'm joined by Omar Nakvi.
Hey!
What's up?
Not much. You?
Talking Metal Gear.
Yeah! Cool.
Kevin Diaz.
Hey!
What's
up? Taxes suck. That's all I gotta say. You know, the U.S. tax thing I think we should make it not horrible. If we could do that.
It's hard out here for a content creator paying taxes.
It is. It is very yes. That is true.
Rounding out the Long Play Club, Jack Martin.
Howdy, how you doing?
Pretty good, how are you?
Good. Good to be here. Good to be talking some Metal Gear. A little interstitial podcast.
Absolutely. So, for those that are not familiar what the Long Play Club is, we're going through any game we want to, really, but our sights are first set on the Metal Gear Solid series. We've done 4 episodes so far, breaking down, discussing Metal Gear Solid in the most definitive, thorough, in-depth playthrough discussion available on YouTube or podcast services. The playlist for the Long Play Club is available on youtube.com/joyclicks for the video version and Apple Podcasts, Spotify for audio if you prefer that. If you want to get involved with the show, support it, you can go to patreon.com/joyclicks to support the shows. And this is, like I mentioned, an interstitial. So we're doing sort of a bridge week. Next week we will continue the Metal Gear Solid playthrough. Gonna have new assets next week, new intro, new game, new us. But MGS2 is next week. Today it is the Speak Now or Forever Hold Your Peace on Metal Gear Solid 1. So I think to kick off, Kevin.
Yes.
Slap a score on this baby. What out of 10? What are you rating Metal Gear Solid 1?
Ah, snap. If you're playing it in the year 2021, I'm going to break it up a little bit because I feel like I got to, okay? If you're playing it in 2021, right, you have no context going in, right, which I feel like I had, like, the least context probably you could ever have, maybe, right? I would say, like, a 6, 7, something like that.
Okay.
I think overall as a package, because that story is great. The characters are very out there. I was a fan of them. My homie Otacon for life. Shout out the homie. Snake began to unravel and was interesting as we went on, and I was always at least entertained by Snake. You know what I'm saying? And of course the cast of villains and all that, but the gameplay is not particularly there in 2021, and I don't think that you could ask someone that doesn't have that much context about it to like really overlook those things. Like I think like there just comes a point in this game where it's just really bad at certain points. So I'd say 6, 7. We'll meet in the middle. We'll say 6.5.
Okay.
We'll say 6.5, but that story is very good.
All right, I gotcha. Jack, as somebody who revisited it, we don't all have to put scores on it, but a week out after finishing the game, like any final thoughts or things that have changed on looking back at this game and your fandom of Metal Gear?
Yeah. So I feel like what Kevin was doing was a good way of talking about this game, because I feel like back when it came out in 2001, like this must have been the easiest of 10s to slap on, because when you think of like the competition on the PS1, I don't think there are many games that really stand the test of time as much as Metal Gear Solid does. That being said, there are a lot of things about this game that don't hold up. So if I had to go back to this game and rate it in like a letterboxed way, I would probably give this like an 8. I still think this game is great. I think there's a lot of things about this game, even within the greatness of its story, that are not good.
Mm-hmm.
Depictions of certain people, and there's a lot of generalizations about certain groups of people that are just not good. And the gameplay, like what Kevin was mentioning, isn't all quite there. But I think there's a really good package in this game, and I think I'll keep it at an 8 because I think, from what I remember, there's room to grow with the Metal Gear franchise.
Fair, sure. Omar, or Kevin, were you gonna say something?
Am I being too harsh? 6.5. Looking back on it, sounds a little bit harsh because I really did like the story. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. It's just hard because the game is encapsulated is of a PS1 game in '98. Yeah. So
I mean,
that's the thing. I don't know, man.
Yeah. You prefaced it at least with like all three of us, we played it at like different points in our lives, like me, Kevin, and Omar, or me, Jack, and Omar. But so we do have some amount of nostalgia for the game. So there's that. Like you don't, like you have Death Stranding, and from Death Stranding, you're a fan of Kojima. So like, there's that level. As someone who, like, because going off of what you're talking about there, like I love Metal Gear Solid 1, and I would have any other day, I think I would have given it like a 9, because I truly think it's great, and I don't have as much issue with the things that have aged with the game. But on my like official Twitter thread I've been doing for games this year, I gave it an 8 because I was trying to be more critical about it, thinking through a lot of our discussions, and like, while I think it might still be my favorite scenario in the entire series, there absolutely are, like Jack said, things that don't age well with it. But Omar, for you, and I know you had a little bit of experience with Twin Snakes that we'll get to later in the episode, but
yeah,
what about you looking back?
Yeah, I won't bring up Twin Snakes right now, but no, I think after we recorded last week, I actually felt a bit terrible after, because I thought maybe I was too mean on Metal Gear Solid 1. But no, I still think this game is kind of incredible. The presentation and the cast are just so strong, I think. And the voice acting also, like, is just... I think where it faltered a bit for me replaying it was I didn't love some of the larger story stuff. But... I honestly didn't mind the gameplay so much. I had some frustrating experiences. I did play it on like easy, but I think the design there is like pretty much there, and you can see where the, like, for a stealth action thing, I think it's pretty cool. But there's definitely a lot of frustrating moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's that cast and that presentation, and honestly the way it just looks. I love the way that game looks on a PS1. Like the way the codec calls and the snake heads, like, and cutscenes animates, and just he has no face, it's just a bunch of like moving animations. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna give this a strong 12 out of 10 still. It only goes up from here, I think. But this game, I still liked it, but
yeah,
I see the faults.
I'm glad you pointed out the difficulty also, because I took that into account when I was like, okay, I'll give it an 8, because I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of somebody who's coming in for the first time too, of like those frustrations. And I was playing a little Mario 64 recently, and was thinking about the camera controls and stuff, and like playing that with a Pro controller on the Switch, I love how that feels versus like having a lifetime of dealing with the C buttons for camera control, you know. But like if anybody just picks that up and it's like, this camera sucks on the Switch, it's like, well, I get that, you know, but like it is an improvement for like me who's had a history with this thing. But yeah, I completely get like a newcomer's perspective not enjoying the way the game makes you form around its logic because of the restrictions. So I do think, honestly, from the entire run so far of the show, I feel like we've all been fair on the game, not like too generous or anything. Like, I think we're being realistic with it. So good points though.
There is one question I'd like to ask Kevin, actually, that I thought I probably should have asked him last week, but better or worse than Death Stranding? I have to know.
Oh, that is a great question, dude. Oh shit. I I think as it is, I'm not sure. However, the hypothetical remake that we will talk about, I could see that easily being even more intriguing than what I found Death Stranding to be. And I love the Death Stranding. Like, I love the Death Stranding. Right. Like, I really adore the world that he crafted here. And, I mean, that he crafted there, right? But I think as MGS is right now, I don't think so. But it's in the same. I would put it in the same realm. I'd put it in the same realm of like level of like intrigue, at least that this game gave me. I love when he like explains things when like I didn't ask for it, but sure, I'll take it. Like, yeah, tell me how the ID cards work through the salts in my skin. Go ahead, sure, why not? Like, all right, you know, similar vein of like Timefall and Death Stranding, right? Like those premises that he comes up with and brings to a game is still seen in the first Metal Gear. So, but I think remade, it definitely could have passed Death Stranding for sure. But I think right now I think I still like Death Stranding more. I think overall. Yeah.
Omar, I know you weren't
Good. Very good question, though.
super hot on Death Stranding. So, like...
We should wait for the Death Stranding series, but... like...
You know Death Stranding, man? Come on, man. Timefall, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Man, I had a...
balance, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, I think I played... the first, like, up until chapter 3, I thought Death Stranding might be, like, one of my new favorite games of all time, but I think at some point the story ramped up in a way I kind of got off the train. But in terms of that world and exploring it and, like, the traversing stuff, I really found it incredible. But it's just the story stuff kind of faltered for me. But, yeah, I can definitely see a world where... Death Stranding's cooler than this game. I get it. It does hurt me a little bit, but
because like
they're both cool for sure.
Yeah.
They're both dope as hell for sure.
Yeah, I think as somebody who likes both of them, like Death Stranding, I like a lot because of like what Omar said, the traversal. I think the way that open world exists isn't really like any other open world. I liked the story. It kind of just stopped being a story at some point and just felt more like things are happening, like stuff's playing out. Where I do appreciate that. Like, let me rewind. Death Stranding does have a story by the end of it, and I'm into it because it's like I'm into Kingdom Hearts. I'll accept a lot of things they throw at me, but like specifically, I appreciate that with Metal Gear and MGS1. There's a narrative, like a narrative through line that you can follow and does have like a beginning, middle, end with points that continue to build off each other. So, and Jack, you haven't played Death Stranding, right?
No, I was looking forward to it because I love Kojima, but when I heard and saw that the gameplay was just traveling, and I don't want to, disparage it for that because I haven't played it, so I don't know if that's the extent of it. But and I've said this before, so this isn't really a spoiler, but I was coming off the high of MGS5's like incredible combat system, and I was just disappointed that I didn't think I was going to get that with Death Stranding, so never got it, but I will play that eventually. If it's around like $20 to $30, I'll probably pick that up at some point.
Jack, you have to play Death Stranding.
Yeah, dude.
It's Metal Gear Solid 5 2 in a lot of cases. Maybe not on the combat front, but in terms of like the planning stuff you did in Metal Gear Solid 5, in Death Stranding, it's like it's that cranked up, and that open world is woo.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
I'll just I don't know, like I'll just never there's certain games where I'll never forget like tangibly playing through those games. You know, sometimes like I remember the game, but like I remember the exact like weather during my play sessions. Like I remember to its detriment for sure, finishing the game Thanksgiving Day. I was supposed to leave to my parents' house. it's like 9 a.m., right? And I see like these stories wrapping up. Like I have done my last thing. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, all right, this should be over. And what? Like this cutscene can't be longer than 20 minutes, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm there. I promise you, like the ending was starting at like 9, and I was still in this chair at like 2 p.m. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. Like, I want to see it through to the end, but it's taking a long time to end. So definitely at that for sure. Like, definitely not perfect. At least, I don't know. Like, or just ways that Kojima just likes to kind of just dump a lot of story at the end, you know.
Yeah.
But I like Death Stranding a lot. I really do. I really do. Very, very memorable game to play. You know.
So, with that in mind, why don't we talk a little bit about this hypothetical remake that may or may not be announced this year? Maybe it releases this year. Should we like? Is it Blue Point? Do we all think it's Blue Point?
I hope it's Blue Point.
Are we sure it's happening?
That would be the
Where
one
is the info coming from? Okay, like
I don't.
Is it?
I feel like
Because
it's
I
a
don't know
case,
who else would.
I feel like it's a case where there's so much smoke that there has to be something, you know. And like Konami's been doing stuff recently, you know.
You're right.
Like they did Castlevania. That's kind of, it's not a new game yet, but like it's back. You know, this modern, like within the last 3 years, official release of Castlevania to get. Like nobody remade a Castlevania, but
yeah,
they haven't really released a new version of Metal Gear with the exception of those PC ones. So
right. I guess my thing with Blue Point specifically is that like this is such a different game for them in terms of like voice direction and cutscenes and story, like all that performance capture stuff. I don't think they really. I mean, they did a little bit with that with Demon Souls, but like I feel like I have never really seen a Blue Point animated cutscene, I guess.
right.
Well, didn't Blue Point work on the MGS HD collection? Wasn't that
They
theirs?
did.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think, Omar, when you say that, you're meaning more of like re-recording stuff, right? And like original direction.
I would assume because like the way like if you make a cinematic game these days, you need to do like performance and facial capture, right? And I assume they would have to re-record all this with a new cast.
Yeah,
And that would also suggest that this would be a PlayStation-owned game
Right.
if it's under Blue Point.
Blue Point are
Or
still
are they
independent, I think.
Okay.
But
Blue Point's still independent. Yeah.
Okay.
so I guess like when I hear Blue Point and Metal Gear Solid, though, like what Omar's saying, it's if you look at the Blue Point track record, because they've done two things. They've done games like the Metal Gear Solid collection. They worked on Nathan Drake, but like they touched up existing stuff. They didn't do like a ton of original work there. With something like Shadow of the Colossus or Demon Souls, it is like it is different than what I think we all imagine a Metal Gear Solid remake would be, because with those two, they're very, very authentic, at least in the way they're structured to that original game. A lot more legwork, you know, but still, like Omar said, no real voice direction, cutscene, stuff like that. Anything that really makes Metal Gear Solid, you know? And at that point, I feel like looking at their track record, the Blue Point remake, again, just based off of their existing stuff, they could change it up. I think it would basically just be Twin Snakes. That's the way I look at it. But
And like even in like gameplay format, like character perspective and all that too, like it was just a better looking like rebuild, obviously, like in terms of like character models and all that. So just the format would stay the same as the original.
if it's,
I think
yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, Blue Point stuff has been the exact same as the original so far, but I definitely feel like if someone remade it at this point, they'd probably change the camera perspective, right?
Yeah. I think they'd have to.
Yeah.
If I do a quick future spoiler of a framework of a future Metal Gear Solid game, or should I avoid that?
As long as it doesn't. Yeah, I think as a group we have decided to protect the person that has not had a lot of context, right?
Yeah.
So if you, and I trust no one here will besides Omar and that one name slip, right? but I trust that if you think that it won't compromise my lack of context going in, I'm down. It's fine.
Okay.
Is it a Metal Gear Solid 4 spoiler?
No.
Okay.
Well, Kevin, I assume you've seen MGS5 gameplay.
Very little. I do understand the perspective of it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So for me, when I think of an MGS1 remake, I think of Ground Zeroes, where it's very like that's. I just imagine, of course, third-person perspective. That level of detail in it, like if they just give Bluepoint or whoever makes this game, honestly, the Fox engine, which is the new engine that the most recent Metal Gear games are on, just make Metal Gear Solid off of that, essentially, third-person perspective, and just honestly, I think they should just take Ground Zeroes as a as sort of a starting point, because it's reminiscent in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Ground Zeroes is of MGS1. So I think that's almost like a one-to-one of how they do that. As for the bosses and stuff, I think that would have to be reworked, because once you mess with the perspective, that's just changing the whole game. So I think, like what you guys are saying, this would be a very different thing to the past work that Bluepoint has done, because this would essentially just be an entire overhaul. But I think that's what Metal Gear Solid 1 deserves, because I don't think you can really remake that game with the same control scheme nowadays. It'd be a little strange.
Because like,
I think you would have to basically make it like Ground Zeroes or Metal Gear Solid 5.
So here's what I'm saying: it has to be way different, right? To remake it these days, why not just go full crazy Final Fantasy VII remake? Just like set up a new studio and reboot the whole series using Metal Gear Solid 1 as a framework, but then like make it different pretty early on. I feel like I think that's the way to go. Really, is like just bring back Metal Gear, and then just like make a new timeline. I think.
Yeah, because I think might be a good point to talk about these, because Metal Gear Solid's been remade in like two different ways. Like there's what I think the Bluepoint one might be that Omar played recently of Twin Snakes, and what Omar just suggested, I think, of being super different. Last year I played Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel, which was a Game Boy remake of like OG Game Boy of Metal Gear Solid 1. That's the way they frame it. But it plays like the MSX Metal Gear 2. So it looks very similar also. But it's just called Metal Gear Solid, and I think the Ghost Babel is just so it's like Game Boy, because of GB. And what it is it's very similar to what Omar is suggesting of, you go to an island, there's 4 bosses, you progress through the bases, you have to go here, this building, down, up, back and forth. And all completely different bosses. You have a female soldier companion, you got the codec, and then the ending ends with destroying a Metal Gear. So it's essentially the same like outline of Metal Gear Solid, just recontextualized with a slightly different look on it. Because like I forget if it was like still called Foxhound, but like there were definitely operatives. There was like a big reveal of like a former companion. Like it's basically the same exact thing, just it's like paint by numbers, but they use different colors. But it's the same setup. So
yeah, like Twin Snakes being just a remake of Metal Gear Solid, like it just feels like it's that game without Kojima, and I feel like without the touches there, it just feels false in a way, where I don't know how to even get Kojima back for this one. because they probably won't. But and I don't even want him back on Metal Gear, to be honest. But like, I feel like Ghost Babel was a way to do it, or like, I feel like it's actually a trend in a lot of like Japanese stuff recently. Where has anyone here seen Neon Genesis Evangelion?
I haven't.
Okay,
What?
It's a.
Sir, bless you. I'm sorry.
You
what?
did? Okay.
No,
okay.
I said bless you. I think you sneezed or
All
something.
right. All right, listen to me for a second. I think this is the anime Otacon's talking about when he mentions it. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty influential thing on a lot of Japanese media. I think you guys should all check it out. I think it's pretty influential in the series. But I know Evangelion started this trend where it was a show in the 90s. It ended. But then in 2013 or whatever, they started remaking them as movies. But in the second remake, that's when they did the new timeline. That's when it actually ended up being a sequel and then a remake, which I think is also where Final Fantasy VII Remake happened or came out of, is that kind of thing. So I just feel like if you just remake the game 1-1, I don't think anyone's going to be happy with that. Like, because it's a 2-hour movie, or it's 2 hours of gameplay, right? And then like a 5-hour fully fledged animated film. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it just seems like too much money spent unless they just really reboot it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Jack, I haven't played Twin Snakes. I don't think you have either.
No, I haven't.
But from the outside, tell me if your experience with it is different. To me, it always seems like people look down on Twin Snakes, like, or they just don't like it. And that is the 1-to-1 remake, you know?
Yeah, I don't think you do a 1-to-1 remake nowadays. I think, like what Omar was saying and what I said a little bit earlier, is just like you have to just do a total overhaul of Metal Gear Solid 1. I like the Final Fantasy VII Remake comparison because I think that game pays a lot of respect to the original and then decides very late in the game to just, and throughout certain points in that game, from what I understand of the original, the remake just decides to do its own thing. And it's like, hey, we respect the original intent of the game, but we're sort of doing our own thing. And I feel like that's what MGS 1 Remake would have to do. And I think with the legacy of how MGS progresses, I think third-person perspective like is entirely necessary in that game, and in a remake of that. And controls, like what I've said in the past of MGS5, Kevin's heard this, so it's not a spoiler. Like, that's just one of the best controlling games I've ever played. So I think you need to continue that if you remake that. You can't do top-down perspective anymore. I don't think you can do that.
So
I have some sad news about the Fox engine. I think it's like been discontinued. Like, I think Konami was using it with Pro Evolution Soccer, but this year they made the switch to Unreal Engine 4. I think all the people who knew documentation on that are at Kojima Productions. So I think it's lost. I think it's gone to time.
So
that's so sad.
Make a new engine, but like copy paste it. Right.
Yeah.
Y'all built this building. Let's just do the same one, but a different color, and we'll call it something else. But in spirit, it's the Fox engine. Call it the Hound engine. You know.
Yeah. Sure.
So
call it Hound. You know.
Kevin, as somebody who played for the first time and throughout the entire 4 episodes we've done has been saying, like, I can picture it. I see exactly what it's going to be like. Like, if it were to be remade, you know, as somebody who's new to this, what avenue do you think sounds most appealing so far? Like, do you think doing a Ghost Babel approach where it's like like what Omar was suggesting, of the format is still the format of like the enemies, the codec, all this stuff, Shadow Moses, but it's like different, like it's a new take on it? Or would you rather see like a more authentic RE2 type thing, where it's like the same game, same story, re-recorded, just third person perspective now? Because like, I don't know which one sounds more appealing to you.
Like, are you asking me essentially like, do I want like a RE2 remake that's very faithful to the original, or NFF7? Is that kind of what you were getting at a little bit?
Yeah, I made the Ghost Babel comment because like we have a sort of faithful remake already, and then Ghost Babel's the more one in line with 7
Okay,
in this
gotcha.
case. But yeah, so for clarity, RE2 faithful like Twin Snakes, or 7 keep some things, would change things up like Ghost Babel.
Yeah. So to answer this, I don't know if I could educate. Excuse me. Like, I don't think I could answer this given I've only played the first game, right? And I don't know how the rest of the series pans out, but like I will say that playing FF7 as a whole, right, and seeing where they're going with Remake, and like them also being like, hey guys, look, like we're still gonna hit major beats and we're still gonna visit those beats that you guys remember from the original. It's just the context and the in between could be up to, you know, what Aaron says, like, you know, boundless, fearless freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna kind of mess with that, you know. I think I think I want that more than a faithful remake. Even it, because like I'm going to experience the faithfulness like it's there, right? Like it exists. I'm gonna play it next week, you know, and we're gonna keep it going for the whole series, right? Like I'm gonna be able to experience that, right? And I think it would be a lot more enticing, and I think could invite and grow the Metal Gear Solid series as a whole if it was gonna take liberties like FF7 Remake, you know, and like see what they're doing and like and all that, while like it could almost serve as both. Like, yeah, there are people that are upset with the remake of FF7, right? Like they don't like certain things that they did, but I think as someone that played the remake first and then played the original and seeing how that all pans out and seeing what happens after Midgar, like I can't wait to see what they do, you know. So I think if you give it to a new studio, if you, hey, you know, let's talk to Konami. Let's see if we can figure out some sort of licensing deal to let us use the Metal Gear name and the Metal Gear franchise, or let's just buy it out straight from them. You know, perhaps that could also be a thing. Everything has a price, right? Like I could see that being a big play. Like, hey, we're gonna give it a Blue Point. They have proven time and time again that they can take a game that a lot of people care about. Granted, they just remake it, right? Like they kind of like do just like the best version of a remaster that you could ever do, right? And they haven't delved into changing the format, even though they have been vocal about wanting to do that with like Shadow, they said that they really wanted to change certain things and certain aspects, but they I forgot who made the call to tell them not to. I hope it wasn't Sony. Maybe it was Sony. I don't know. But I know they were told not to do that. But it seems like Blue Point has a desire to take these old IP and like reinvigorate them, right? So I think that why not give us Metal Gear, you know? Because I feel like if they messed up on Demon Souls, we would all be very much aware if they did. And it seems like, granted, I'm not in that fan base that much at all, really, but it seems like the people that liked Demon Souls back in the day love this remake, just off of a bird's eye view, you know. So I think I would like to see an FF7 remake, new timeline type thing. Let's hit these major points in the Metal Gear franchise, but just have different contexts of how we're getting here, you know.
Yeah, I think the work they've done so far is like fantastic. I know. I mean, I played some of the Demon's Souls remake, but that game's hard. But I played some of the original too, and it seemed very faithful, and I don't think anyone was upset about it. I will say, like, this is the most nitpicky of nitpicks, but like, Christian, you saw this recently, the Shadow of the Colossus remake. The Wanderer's face looks weird.
Yeah.
If you have a cutscene in Metal Gear and Snake looks wrong in a way, I think that'll be tough. Now, that's not to say Blue Point can't be better about that at this point, but I almost just think it's tough in a way. Like, those polygonal faces for those iconic moments are, I feel like, kind of iconic. Like, It's been weird playing the Twin Snakes and seeing, like, Snake be horny with his lips moving. Like, I think it's upsetting in a way, actually. Like, yeah, I think it.
And like, I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
No, please.
But like, how I would want them to do like a codec, right? Is like I would want them, like you're in third person, right? And you look at like your forearm, and there's like a little like green display that legit has the original animations like that, and like he just hears the VO. But like, what if they did something like that where they can still use those iconic like visuals, or whatever? And like, because did they ever say a year when Metal Gear takes place? Like, I assume it's 98, right? Like,
I think
It might be 2000 or
no,
2002.
I don't think so because Snake mentions that they haven't signed Start 2 yet. And I think that was signed in 93 or 92, right?
so it was early 90s?
I think so.
I thought it was in the 2000s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I just know by the end, it's like with the splash screen and they're talking about when Start 2 is actually signed. I think at some point in the story, Snake says something to the effect of, if this gets out, Start 2 is not going to be signed. Like, they're not going to go through with it.
This is 2005.
Oh, really?
Oh, 2005.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Weird.
Well, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the codec just keeps that format, no matter what the era. You know, just like I think that could be a super way of like showing those animations and different stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rather than like just having just the audio. Like, let us see it too, or something like that. You know,
doing a full remake situation like Final Fantasy VII, I think, is also a really good opportunity to get rid of some of the convoluted storytelling, or sort of clean up the storytelling that they have, because there are just so many points in this game where it's like, we're gonna hit you with another thing, and then we're gonna, you know, we told you one thing, it's actually this thing, and it's just a little too much at a certain point. So I think there's a way where in my perfect vision of this game, the story would essentially be the same, but the way that they convey it would be a lot more digestible and just less confusing by the end of that. Because you get towards the end of the game and it's like, geez, I just had like 6 exposition dumps in the past like 2 hours. So yeah, I think it's a way for them to tell that story just a little bit better, and just make it a little bit more sensible, I think.
Yeah, I think also like it's a tough decision because I do see a world where either path works, of like full blown, we're keeping Shadow Moses, we're keeping the main like Snake kernel and everything. There's a Metal Gear, and then everything along the way is different and new, and you get that affordance jack to like streamline it and make it make more sense. But I also like last year I played all the Resident Evils, and I can guarantee you the story of RE4 is going to be a good amount different than standard RE4 if it's picking up with the Leon from RE2 Remake. And I think, like, I personally, as somebody who only played RE4 for the first time a year ago, and like, I love that series now. It's one of my favorites ever. RE2 is in my top 5. I think, like, there's a way you can do a Metal Gear Solid remake that is more faithful, the way that RE2 remake is more faithful to RE2 than FF7 is to FF7 remake, but still has some changes. Like, I think there's an avenue for that, but I definitely would be more excited if it was more of a, what we're pitching of like, hey, kind of a clean slate, like the things that you remember about Metal Gear are retained, so it still feels like Metal Gear, but like surprise us, you know? And don't, because if you, like Omar said, if you don't have Kojima, don't try to be Kojima, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know if Jack or Kevin feels any different about that.
That makes sense. No, yeah. I hear that.
I don't think they get Kojima back. I think like what a lot of people have been, even in like a supervisor role, like a lot of people have been speculating, like he gives like the thumbs up approval, like yeah, go for it. But I don't think it's anything beyond that. I think it's whoever tackles this is interpreting that story and maybe revising it in certain ways. But yeah, I think it's sad because Kojima won't be involved, but they at least that's what I think. But at least they'll have that framework that he set up that they can follow or deviate from.
Yeah.
Would you want him back, Jack, if like perfect world, let's say, hey, Sony buys Metal Gear IP, gives it to Kojima, would you want to see him do that?
I would want to see him make a new Metal Gear. I wouldn't want him to go back. Because I don't think when he left or / was fired from Konami that he was done with Metal Gear. Like I think he probably wanted to go on with that. Although I think Omar was saying that at various points he's been like, fuck this, I want to be done with Metal Gear, but like continued making them. Yeah, I would have rather, if all things worked out and he somehow gets Metal Gear through PlayStation, I'd rather have him just make an entirely new Metal Gear.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's like, I would maybe want one very specific Metal Gear game from him next, but then I'm pretty happy with him doing original stuff at this point.
So I'll throw this out there too, because if we think that, let's just, for the sake of this conversation, we do say like it's Blue Point. I've had the idea that like I think the easy way around all of this, how are they going to handle it? What are they going to do with it? I truly think the easiest, like all around, this is a huge win, nobody's upset by this, is if they just take sort of what we're saying, but they just remake a Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 with like an engine that's comparable to the Fox engine or Decima even, and like that way there's literally no voice acting, there's dialogue, you can rewrite a lot of it, flesh a lot of it out, either use that as a new launching point or like just do a faithful like recap of the story, combine the two games and just call it Metal Gear, and if it works out, go from there. Like I think that's more likely, or I think that's like the way where you please the most people, and Kojima can be like, sure, like I really had nothing riding on Metal Gear 2 anyway, so like I think that scenario is probably the best case based on everything we've been saying. I know, Kevin, it's not the Metal Gear Solid remake that you were wishing for this whole time, but do you guys think that that's likely at all, or do you think it's just going to be no, here's Blue Point's Metal Gear Solid remake?
I don't think that's as likely because I think people really have the fondness for Solid.
Yeah.
But I would love that personally, because I also think like the thing with Metal Gear 1 and 2 is like, you know, there's no voice acting in that, so there's a lot of room for someone new to come in and flesh that out. Like I feel like that's why Final Fantasy VII Remake sings a lot, is like it had a lot of freedom for people's interpretation, I guess, like in terms of like voices, and like some of the dialogue was sparse sometimes. I feel like if you do Metal Gear Solid, it's such a strict script to stick to that, like, same with Resident Evil 2. I think there's just a lot of room for someone new to come in and just flesh it out. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know if anybody's an expert on this series, but isn't that what Deus Ex did? Like there was the one, and then they just went backwards, and then they didn't remake anything, but it was like, hey, all this stuff takes place before the original. So like in this case scenario, it would be like, hey, we're starting a new Metal Gear series. We're sort of scrapping Metal Gear 2 to start our own thing, but eventually, timeline-wise, it leads up to Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, Deus Ex Human... Sorry, what was the Human Revolution?
Divided.
The Human Revolution was the third Deus Ex, and that's a prequel to the first one. And then Mankind Divided is also still set before the first one, but it's a sequel to Human Revolution. And there was going to be... The next one is Guardian of the Galaxy, I guess, but it was going to be a third one that was still, I think, before Deus Ex. But that would be cool, I think. I mean, that would also be great just to reestablish Metal Gear 2, right? Like, okay, start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
The very beginning, but, you know, the beginning.
The first games, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those games are very integral to the plot, even though I feel like not many people have actually played those games compared to the other ones.
Yeah, I think you're the only one who's seen the story for it still. I need to watch
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. I gotta watch them again because it's been a while. I know like the gist, but it's been a while. I think that's a good idea in what both of you are saying, you can have more of a clean slate with those because not many people have touchstones to those games, and if they do, they don't hold them in that regard in the same way they hold Metal Gear Solid 1. But that being said, I feel like if you announce a Metal Gear revival, you have to start with Metal Gear Solid 1, just because it is on that level of, like, if you put stuff on, if you put video games on a pedestal, that's on there. Like, Metal Gear Solid 1 is on there. So I feel like you have to go back with that. And eventually, if you go through the series, then yeah, maybe Metal Gear would eventually come in. But I think it would have to be Metal Gear Solid 1.
Would you give me a Ground Zeroes equivalent that is just the recapping of the final hours of those two games, and then it leads into the remake?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, I suppose.
Okay.
Because I don't think those games are very long.
Yeah.
I feel like another uphill battle for them is like, David Hayter.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Can they get him back? Would they get him back? Like, if they probably won't, I figure, right? Because he was never a mocap guy or facial capture.
Wait. Oh, I just remember something. Wait, that was the big thing about MGS5, right? How it's not David Hayter?
Yeah, it's Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, so 24? Kiefer Sutherland?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jack Bauer.
Jack.
Damn.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder how that's going to go. I wonder.
Because I think you need David Hayter.
Yeah, me too.
Honestly. But
like
he wasn't brought back, and I think he wanted to be, right? That was the whole situation.
He said, like,
why?
I want my damn job back, I think.
I think he was like very hurt.
He was hurt.
Yeah. That like
why would they say no?
Kojima,
Why?
The reason is Kojima, I think, wanted facial capture for Metal Gear Solid 5, and he didn't think Hayter was cut out for it. So I don't even think they contacted him. I think they just
Whole Spider-Man
looked more
remastered.
like
Come
him.
on, man, we got this.
yeah.
yeah.
So I guess whatever they like, do you think that's holding on though? Like, if we think it's gonna be a refresh, like I don't think Kiefer comes back either. But like,
No.
like, if
honestly, it might be Norman Reedus. Who knows?
if we're doing this initiative, right, of like, however the remake happens, like I do think Hayter's iconic. I'd love to have him back. He's still doing like Metal Gear fan stuff. Like I think he has a cameo and he does Snake recordings and like
they all do. I think.
Yeah,
that's cool as fuck.
Liquid and Miller Wright has one too.
Do you think? Should we get an intro for the Long Play Club? That's just like David Hayter introducing it.
Holy shit!
I would
he have
pitch
a
in.
cameo?
I don't know. I'll look into that.
Listen, he does. I think he definitely does.
I will put up some cash for that.
I know some
100%.
Some like some people on Cameo be like, hey, if this is for a show, I'm not doing it. So I'll look into that.
Damn it.
But regardless, David Hayter being back as Snake, I think, is another thing where it's like, I feel like it has to happen, right?
It can't though.
But if Kojima's not involved, like I feel like that animosity is more towards being betrayed by Kojima than like not being loved by the fans, because the fans were upset too.
No, they were, but I think Kojima had a point though. Like, as much as I wanted David Hayter for Metal Gear Solid 5, and they still could have done it for that game.
Yeah.
I think at this point, Metal Gear Solid is, the grandfather of the current cinematic games that are the biggest thing in the, GOTY list or whatever. Like, this is it. I think do you need the performances to be that level? You need that same performance as like a Kratos or a Naughty Dog thing. And I don't think David Hayter can do the mocap and the facial capture for it. I think they have to take it in a new direction. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar Isaac.
See,
Hey,
yeah.
Bring him on.
Well, Kevin,
listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
you brought up Spider-Man. Like, do you think
I did.
it? Like, as somebody who is experiencing this for the first time, like you're hearing Snake talk, he's very iconic. Like, do you think that if they pulled a Spider-Man, they got somebody to do the performance capture that is like they fit what they need for that level of detail, but it had David Hayter's voice? Like, do you think that would be like a disconnect for you in terms of not like how David Hayter looks versus the character model, but more like the level of performance and then like Colonel like this voice. Like, what? Do you think that's too different, or what?
Wait, I want to retread the Spider-Man remaster thing. So,
Okay.
my understanding is that John Bubniak's face scan did not line up in the facial structure as much as Yuri Lowenthal, right? So they got another person that better matches the overall face structure of Yuri Lowenthal to be the skin, if you will, of the motion capture data of Yuri Lowenthal, right? So that's still Yuri Lowenthal's like technical facial gestures and movements and all that, and of course the voice. It's just in a think like a Fortnite skin, right? Like that's where you're going. So I don't see why they couldn't do that in MGS5 was what 2015.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see why they couldn't have done. I mean, I don't know what David Hayter looks like facial structure wise. I don't know if maybe they were
handsome.
so hell bent on like
He is handsome.
he's what?
He's handsome.
He's a good looking guy.
chap. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, shout the homie. Like, I don't know if they were so hell bent on like a specific look for Snake in MGS5 that's why they didn't want to. But I would have chose obviously the voice of like if it's hell bent on Hayter's, or is it more because like David Hayter like doesn't have a lot of like mocap experience and he's just a voice actor? Is that more of it? Why?
I think I was gonna say. Yeah. Go ahead.
They need facial capture from the performer, right? That's what they did with Spider-Man?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I believe when David Hayter makes a Snake voice, he looks constipated. I think he's going like, Meryl. Like, I think it strains him.
Okay.
I don't know if he can actually capture it in his face. I don't know.
Oh.
So I think.
Okay, I see.
I think the difference, Kevin, is Omar was suggesting moving forward because I think that wasn't the issue with 5. I don't think that was because I remember there were also reports.
The facial capture?
I thought it was also like Konami wanted a name or something, or Kojima did.
From what I understand, it's Spider-Man again. It's Avi Arad, right? The producer for those Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
He told Kojima, why don't you get Kiefer Sutherland for Snake? And Kojima said, Avi, that's a great idea. And that's how it happened. I just think Kojima was like looking for a facial capture actor, and they just recast him. I don't know.
He also loves movies and just wants to make so many friends.
Yeah,
with actors.
I wonder if because we saw like Insomniac just did this with Spider-Man, right? Like this was a new thing. Yeah. Like they did Spider-Man in 2018 and they didn't have that foresight. Do you think 2015, that entire development cycle, they just didn't think of that? Maybe.
Yeah. That's another thing too. Like to be fair, as far as I'm aware, this is the first Spider-Man is the first example of this really happening on this scale in the industry, as far as I'm aware. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that was like definitely an anomaly. That like even when my friend who's not that big in the games but like plays Spider-Man and like the big stuff was like, yo, like does this happen often? I'm like, honestly, it doesn't happen a lot, next to ever. Like I've never seen this, and I've been following since I was at least 10 years old, you know? So yeah, I mean, that could definitely be the case for sure, that they just didn't have that foresight or just never happened before, you know? So.
Real quick, David Hayter does do Cameo, and his services are $75.
I'm down. Listen. I will. I am put my money in the pot.
That's
let's get him to record it.
Yeah, 1875 quick math for all 4 of us. That ain't
easy.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll even cover the tax.
All we need is a 5-second stinger. Yeah. This is David Hayter, voice of Solid Snake, and you're listening to the Long Play Club. Snake, you know, that's all you need.
Fire.
What if we got him to say
fire? I'm so down.
10 kills on the board. Just wiped out Tomato Town. What if we just got that? Something random. That's all I'm saying.
I like the intro. I like what Jack said. Mm-hmm. The intro to Long Play Club. Like I want him to say Long Play Club Metal Gear Solid.
Like, and then leave it off of Does love really bloom on the battlefield?
Please.
I'll throw this out there. If we need a facial capture thing, I'm looking at pictures of David Hayter, and I have the two of them pulled up right now. If we get David Hayter to do the voice again,
Right.
Adam Scott looks a bit like a chiseled David Hayter. He looks like him.
No,
I need
absolutely not.
Well, first I need to see
yeah.
what does David Hayter look like. That's something that I do not know yet.
If you just get because Adam Scott's a geek, he probably likes Metal Gear. Like he freaks out about Mark Hamill all the time, you know.
I don't know if just Step Brothers ruined me, but he just doesn't have a likable face the way I need Snake to.
Sure.
Like,
I'm looking at a photo of David Hayter next to Carl Urban, and it's striking.
Okay.
You said Adam Scott?
Yes, Adam Scott of Parks and Rec. And
oh shit! Wait.
Because if you just get him in the studio doing the facial capture, you know, and that's the other thing too. The Peter Parker that they remodeled, like, it doesn't look 1-to-1 like the guy. You know, there is a bit of a difference, so they could model.
No, but then you're saying if you want Adam Scott to do the facial capture, you need. Is that what you're saying as well?
Yeah.
Or, well, then I think the facial capture comes with also doing the voice acting, right?
No, because that's not what Spider-Man does. Spider-Man has the facial capture of this young guy, and then Yuri.
It doesn't have the facial capture of Yuri Lowenthal?
I don't think so.
Yuri's in the ping
no.
pong. He's in the ping pong ball suit. That's
no. It's him. Yeah, no. It's him.
But it's a facial capture of Yuri? Or
yes.
Yeah, that's what they did with what's her name from The Last of Us 2? Dina.
Abby?
They had an the voice actress did the mocap, but they had an actress who is literally 1-for-1 Dina, and then they just put
weird,
her. It's
right.
Strikingly weird.
It's very 1-to-1. Yeah.
Yeah, they put her face, copy and paste. That's actually how it works. Photoshop, copy, paste onto the character. That's definitely how it works.
Exactly. Like how they do Dina is exactly what they did for Peter. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, that's to a T what they did. Yeah.
So they could like use, because I do see a similarity in their faces. They could use someone like an Adam Scott, and they could like tweak it a bit. You know, it doesn't have to be 1-to-1 in game. Like he could have a scar or something, or he could have like more wrinkles on. Like they could twist it, you know, slightly, and then have David Hayter do the voice if we want him back.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at Adam Scott in my fucking solid video game.
I guess and then I guess at that point, I mean, I can see David Hayter but I think you guys said that like he does a weird facial gestures when he's trying to do the Snake voice, right? So I guess but I think if he didn't do those weird gestures to make that voice, I think he could definitely do it. Yeah,
dude.
I mean, if you came to me and say, "Hey, like this is Snake," okay. Yeah.
There's another path we're not considering. Just like don't put a face on that guy, like just a blank slate, and just have him move his head like he does in the PS1 version, and keep the animated PNGs for the codec calls. That's it. I don't know.
Before this conversation, I don't think I would have envisioned more Metal Gear without David Hayter, but honestly, I feel like the easiest way to just get around this is just start new. Start with a new voice, and I think I would honestly prefer that now that I'm thinking about it, because David Hayter is probably in his 40s, maybe even older. I'm not sure how old David Hayter is, but like it's gonna get to a point where it's like we don't need David Hayter to come back in the 2030s to be voicing
honestly
Snake.
We might have already got to that point with I feel like some of his later performances in the series, even though I still love him.
He's 52.
Holy shit!
Because I was gonna say I think he's a little older because this is a complete aside, but he wrote X-Men and X-Men 2, those two movies. He wrote them, so he's been like he wrote X2, Jack.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I thought fucking Bryan Singer did the whole thing.
No, he wrote X-Men and X2. He wrote those two movies.
Wow.
So I was gonna say, I think he's older. Like he didn't write those when he was like 15. So
he's a weird guy.
Well, he was voicing Solid Snake in the 90s. Yeah. And then X-Men came out. Right.
So,
but damn.
I know I think Omar or Jack brought it up as a joke, but like Oscar Isaac, like there's the movie, you know. And that's another instance of Kojima looking at it from a distance, being like, thumbs up, do your thing, make it weird. And from all the interviews over the last, like, 8-10 years, like, Jordan Voight Roberts seems like he's like, oh yeah, I've talked with Kojima, we're gonna pay respect to it, but it's gonna be different, you know. It's like, still doing Snake, still doing Metal Gear, here's all this concept art, here's this Gray Fox concept art, but like, I think what potentially is the RE2 remake path, where it's like pretty faithful, changing some things for the times. I think that kind of remake will show up in that movie probably.
Yeah. Do you guys think Norman Reedus could do it? Because I feel like playing Death Stranding, I think he is kind of a Snake fill-in sometimes. Like,
I think so. Yeah,
can see it. I could definitely see it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you know what? I mean, yeah, he could definitely do it. You know, but I don't know if I look at Daryl Dixon, if you will, and see
what
like
the fuck's that
you know,
dude's name in The Walking Dead?
Yeah. But to be fair, I do see some more Snake in our boy Sam Porter Bridges, though.
Yeah.
You know, I see the lines being drawn. You know, more so than Daryl Dixon of The Walking Dead, of course.
Yeah, and I think also like Snake, despite being this legendary soldier, as we saw in the playthrough, like he does have an aloofness to him, and I think very much so that is in Sam's character in Death Stranding. He's very much the guy, like Omar said, the stand-in of like, what? Like,
definitely,
you know?
And this is where I'm also kind of thinking like, all right, Kiefer Sutherland and Norman Reedus, they don't talk as much as Snake does in Metal Gear Solid 1, which always bummed me out. And I don't know if that was a thing where you cast this big celebrity, you don't pay them as much, or you don't want to get too many lines out of them. Like, maybe they should cast a video game actor, just someone who already knows or doesn't need as much money. Troy Baker should do it, probably.
No.
No.
Absolutely.
I'll throw this.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah,
Hell
he's
no.
in way too
That's a
many
hard
things.
no. That's a hard no.
It's gonna
I'm
be
such an
Jack,
issue with
that's
Troy
hard.
Baker being in everything.
That's a fucking hard
Dude,
no.
okay, guys,
Absolutely
fuck off for 1 second. What if he was Liquid? Imagine that. British Troy Baker as Liquid, and also Ocelot. What if he was entirely Foxhound? What if he was every Foxhound guy? Couldn't it work?
Everything but Snake. I don't want to see Troy as Snake.
So
No, he'd be fine as Liquid.
Liquid, I'm down.
no, yeah, Liquid. I think he'd be good.
Liquid, I'm down.
But that's it.
I'll say this.
Not even
Oh, but
any
they have the
generic
twins.
voices. I know
Oh,
he'll jump in
Kevin,
and
you're
do like
getting it,
7
you're getting it.
voices.
Oh wait, fuck! If they do a remake, they have to. Oh shit, that's a problem.
No problem.
Oh shit, I didn't even realize that. Oh,
Wait,
that's
I'm
what's the
over
problem?
Troy Baker too, but I think it could work.
Also, I like Troy in villain roles. He was great in Death Stranding. So if you can get another Metal Gear-esque enemy out of it by just being the new Liquid for one game, that'd be dope.
I want villain Troy from here on out because Jack, you're gonna love that performance. Oh my god, it's insane.
he was really great as the Miles Morales villain. Tell me,
Oh
I
my
remember that
I don't
dude's
want to
name.
talk about. I don't want to talk about that. I don't.
Sorry, I don't mean to shit on Troy Baker, but he's just in
No,
everything, and it's too much.
He's listening to every episode, so
Let me
better
throw this in
apologize.
there. David Hayter's 52. Norman Reedus is 52. So they're the same age.
Wow, I did not realize that. Huh.
But yeah, I think we've all made like the difficult, maybe not difficult choice, but like I do think they should probably recast at this point. As cool as it
Dude,
like,
if we're having this difficulty, imagine the uphill battle at whoever was trying to make this happen. Like,
yeah.
for years, like it almost seems unfeasible to make this game to me. Like, it just seems so tough. I don't know.
I have a pitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a pitch. We need someone young. We need someone that's familiar in video games and all that, right?
For performance or
Just in general, right? Like I think it's gonna be a little bit easier to find someone that has done video game work in terms of like, even if it's just VO, you know what I'm saying? Like just someone that's familiar. I forget his name, but the person that voices Sephiroth in the remake. He's a very big TV actor. Like, you guys know him. I'm gonna look it up. I'm sorry. I forgot his name, but he's oh my god. Remake actor. Okay, what's his name? Hold on, I got this. Tyler Hoechlin? How do you say that last name?
Oh, why do I know that?
You here. I'm gonna copy paste.
Oh, is he
chat.
Superman?
I should probably put the image. Yes, him.
Oh,
He's
where?
he's Superman.
he's CW Superman.
Oh,
CW Superman. Yeah.
gotcha.
I think maybe. I would consider him. Maybe.
Yeah. I think honestly, more than anything, for me, it comes down to the voice.
Dude, he sounds so lame as Sephiroth.
Really?
I don't know. It didn't really work for me,
kind of
but
dug it.
I don't know. He
Yeah.
sounded. I mean,
He
he
sounded
sounded kind of tired, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, Cloud, remember me?
Do you think
7 seconds.
there's
Whatever.
any world where the movie that blows up, and then if the remake comes after the movie, they just grab Oscar Isaac and do some weird synergy?
brand synergy.
Yeah.
Probably not. I feel like you don't see Ben Schwartz as the new Sonic the Hedgehog in video games.
They just fired
but
their
what
Sonic.
if we did?
I know, but it's
talked about that.
they did, but it's not going to be Ben Schwartz.
No,
Dude, but what if?
We'll see.
No, they're not going to pay Hollywood Ben Schwartz to do video games.
The guy from Parks and Rec.
I don't think that happens. But like I think it was maybe Omar who was saying this. Like, I don't know if you pay Oscar Isaac, who's now like through the roof in popularity. I don't think you pay him to do the Metal Gear, because Kiefer Sutherland like had fewer lines, and it could have been down to like what you're saying, Omar, of like, do you just not want to pay him that much because he'd be more expensive in the studio? Yeah, I just start with someone I don't even know. I want to. If you tell me like this person's voicing Metal Gear is voicing Snake, and I've never heard of them before, great.
Yeah, like, remember when The Last of Us trailer came out at the Spike VGAs Award or whatever in like 2011, and everyone was like, "Wow, who is the voice of that guy, that green shirt guy?"
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Whoa, it's Troy Baker? You mean Kaji from Persona 4? What? He sounds so much older." Like, I'm saying, same thing could happen with Solid Snake. Still, he might have a voice that surprises us. Who knows?
God, you remember Persona 4. Oh man.
So, because technically the movie would be a remake in a way, what happens first?
Movie or remake?
Yeah, movie or the game remake?
Remake. The game remake.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I think
Even though I still think it seems impossible. You're probably right. It probably is happening somewhere. I will say another thing. I think I might sound maybe stupid here for a second, but I think it kind of needs to come out of Japan. I think you need a Japanese studio to make it. I think there's a certain level of the way they look, the way Kojima looks at our world or the U.S. military complex. I don't know if you could get the same kind of perspective from, like, I don't know, someone in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I agree. Yeah. I actually agree with that. I do. Yeah, I agree.
So at that point, do you think it would be someone like a Blue Point in Japan studio, the way that Shadow of the Colossus
I
works,
think
maybe?
Sony should buy Square Enix and get Tetsuya Nomura to make it, and put his name all over it.
Yeah. That'd be ideal.
But no, I can't even. There's not too many Japanese studios left that can make a AAA game like that, right? There's Capcom and like Square Enix.
Platinum.
Is that it?
Jack, in all of this, do you think that whatever happens, like if there is a Blue Point game, and if it is announced this year, like do you think there's a world where the majority of fans are happy with it? Because like look at like Twin Snakes should have been that hype remake, right? Like Twin Snakes, I think you can compare it to Resident Evil Remake, where the original games, while I think the PS1 games, Resident Evil 1 on the PS1 does not hold a candle to Metal Gear Solid 1, but I think they're both super iconic. Like I'd say they're on the same level in terms of like their importance. Resident Evil Remake, and I know you had a iffy experience with it recently, but like it is,
game sucks.
It's held up as like one of the best. Like people view it as one of the best remakes in games, and they're like for the past 25 years, it's held that title compared to the original. It came out like maybe 5 years after the original Resident Evil. I think Twin Snakes came out around that same gap. Nobody talks about that game anymore. Like the fans of Metal Gear already got that remake on that level. Like if you're in the position of power and you have to get the fans hyped, what's the strategy, do you think? Like what avenue works best? How do you make the fans happy? Is it just a thumbs up from Kojima? Like what's your call?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, like what we've been talking about, you just start new. I don't think you can... You have to, like, convey that whatever that you're going to make is not going to hold a candle to Kojima, to his creation. Just because he is one of the few, like, video game, like, auteurs, where anything he puts out is just, like, on a totally different level than what any other studio is making. In his very own, like, special, unique way. So there's no way of recapturing that. So you basically have to just come out and say, this is our interpretation of that, and it's not going to be like that. I think you do need some sort of approval from Kojima. I don't think he's involved in the development process really at all. I think maybe he's like... this may be a bad example, but, like, in a way that George Lucas was somewhat of a guiding light for episode 7 at least. Obviously they threw everything out. But maybe
tossed that shit in the trash.
Yeah, I think it would be like that, but they would actually listen to him. I think you just have to do something totally different. It would be like Final Fantasy 7 from my understanding of how they approached the original game and sort of redefined that with the remake.
Yeah, so do you think then, I know Kevin suggested like making a deal with Konami, which is probably what they have to do to make this happen. Do you think then, if it is, regardless of the approach they take, do you think it's the beginning of Metal Gear being back to some degree? Like, is this going to start a chain of like remaking 2, 3, 4, Peace Walker, like anything like that? Or is it going to be more of like a, hey, Metal Gear's back, and then we're going to play it by ear for what the follow-up to this is? What do you think?
I mean... if you bring back Metal Gear, it's you do it in a way to keep selling stuff. So like you would, I think this would be a path to maybe like a Resident Evil situation, where I don't know if they would flip flop like, hey, we're going to continue the story and also remake anything that's come before and just sort of do that. I think it would probably just be remakes, because I don't know if I'd necessarily want a sequel without Kojima. But if for some reason they play, like let's say PlayStation gets the Metal Gear license and they're like, hey, we're gonna do remakes of the game, and Kojima signed up and wants to just continue the story he was telling, that would be amazing. I don't think we get that. I think realistically we get a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, and then assuming, and I do assume that would do well, they would just continue on in the franchise.
Sure. I know... I don't know how much you want to answer this, Omar.
Yeah.
Some of the things we're talking about in terms of like the way the series should continue moving forward, was that not the original intent of Revengeance?
Wait, what? Like,
so like Revengeance, to my understanding, because I haven't played it, I just like read into it and stuff and listened to videos about it. Revengeance initially was supposed to be that torch passing where it's like somebody that Kojima is like saying like, because this was before the whole 5 thing. It was like, hey, I'm done. This is picking up after a certain point, and it's a new studio, new direction. In the world of Metal Gear, like, do you think that if we do get a world where Blue Point's original IP moving forward is Metal Gear and they just do their own thing with it, it turns out differently than what Revengeance was supposed to be?
I don't know, because from what I understand, Revengeance had the Kojima a skeleton of a plot maybe he made.
Okay.
And then the writing came in from other Kojima Productions or Platinum members. But however much he was involved or not, they nailed it. That game really is Metal Gear all the way. To which I'm upset we never got a sequel. But yeah, I think you can make the game without Kojima. But I don't think you pretend to be Kojima. But I would love it if they did this thing where they remade or they had this Shadow of Moses scenario and then did everything new in there and then just made fresh new sequels to this timeline, and then we still had the old games. Like, remaster all those old games, put them in a package, and then make something new, I think. You know? I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. And hearing that, like, I'm wondering if at that point, because Revengeance is about a different character, like, I'm wondering if we had that, like, 15-minute conversation about who should voice, like, do we just get a new character? Like, I know we all love Solid Snake, but, like...
The character that voices that guy, the guy that voices that character in Metal Gear Rising should never be in anything ever again. He sucks. I don't know if you saw any of that.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm just saying like a new like Blue Point's character.
Oh yeah. Oh, so you're saying like get rid of Mr. Snake?
Because if we're,
like,
I'm just saying, if we're suggesting like no David Hayter, no Kiefer, like, and we're suggesting like, hey, scenario and then a new thing moving forward, like, I don't know.
Think when you say scenario, I'm talking Shadow Moses, the island, and then that cast. I think you need Campbell. I think you need Naomi. I think you need big. Okay, real quick. Fuck the Twin Snakes. Naomi and the Twin Snakes. She's not British anymore. I don't know if you guys knew that. They just took away her British accent. It's crazy. She's American.
Is it the same?
I think.
Is Jennifer Hale still doing the voice?
I believe so. I think they just kept that as a lore reason because she. I don't know.
It's weird.
But what was I talking about? Yeah, I think you have to have Snake. You have to have all those characters, and if you want to call it Metal Gear, it ultimately is that. I think I was talking about how I was frustrated that the game became so small in scale in terms of the family relationships, like Snake and Liquid. But it is Snake and Liquid. Like, I think you need those characters.
Okay.
And just recast them. That's it. Get Jennifer Hale back. She's awesome, but
yeah.
That's it.
Well, do we have any other major points we want to bring up about the remake that we haven't touched on?
I actually think that if you're gonna recast Snake, I think everyone's got to be recasted. That's just a personal thing. Like, if we're gonna go, like, so here's what I imagine. I like Omar's idea of, okay, look, we're gonna remaster, whether it's just like a port or here's all the old Metal Gear Solid collection. There you go. This is the ultimate one. Boom, bow. It's here. It's there. Right here, right? This new one, I like the idea that Jack had where we have a Ground Zeroes, like, small scale game that leads into MGS5. Let's encapsulate that Metal Gear story that you guys were talking about from the first two Metal Gears. And then Metal Gear Solid, the remake. Yeah, I think I would like to see them, of course, do the characters, like do Naomi, Miller, Snake, all them, Liquid, because I think if they were to be different characters, like at that point, I don't know if that's Metal Gear Solid, like I don't think that's it. So I would use the same characters, and let's just tell the same story for the most part. I think that's the way that we would do it. But I would recast everyone. Let's have a new voice. Let's have a fresh take. I would want them to remake Metal Gear Solid in the most literal way of remake, and that is that you make it as if you were first making it in the year that you're developing it. You know, like, yeah, there is a past, and we are doing this story that has been, right? But let's, like, make it as if we are making it today, you know? And that's, of course, like, let's not, let's have a moderate, amount of horniness, sure, right? A little sprinkle never hurt nobody, you know? let's not do the, like, over sexualization of female characters in the game as well. Let's try to do that. Let's try not to have, like, women being brainwashed, and that's how she's not falling in love with another man. Like yeah, let's not do that. But I think having the core Metal Gear Solid story, I think it could work. You know, let's have Bluepoint do it. Let's have somebody announce, hey, we bought Bluepoint. They're in the PlayStation Studios family, and their first project is Metal Gear Solid.
Also, relocated all of them to Japan. It's gonna go great.
Facts. Yes. Also that.
So I honestly, I think despite most of us wanting them to just sort of do like a weird half reboot thing, like same scenario but like new direction for a new timeline, I do think probably what Kevin's suggesting is what will happen. Like, I think it's like, if you like take the idea of what the Twin Snakes is, but like you mentioned, Kevin, like do that, like make that, but like with a 2021 mindset. Like, I think that's probably what's going to happen. It is unfortunate because I think Bluepoint's reaching a point where if they are going to be doing voice direction for a remake on that level, like, I'd really like to see them do something original, but like at least with this IP.
Right.
But can I make one suggestion on one character who's like the voice actor is the same?
Campbell?
Yes, please, Campbell.
Yeah, okay, I was thinking that too. The only thing I would say that's fine. Is that playing the Twin Snakes some yesterday, there is a subtle difference in voice direction there where Campbell just sounds like completely dead in that game. And I just think it's weird. It just seems like a hard thing to get right, I guess. But and I guess he's probably like way older now too. But yeah, if he doesn't put in the performance you want, then at that point recast him. But
right.
That voice is iconic for sure. Like,
yeah, like
in that game.
If we had to get rid of Hater, I would do it 10 times over if we could keep Campbell's voice, because I think his voice is so much more, like you said, iconic to this, like to a lot of what Metal Gear Solid means, that like even in a new timeline, I think you could justify like he's coming back because he's sort of the guiding voice. You know,
he's kind of underrated, I feel like, right? Because when I was playing Metal Gear Solid 1 again, I was so comfortable hearing that. I was like, yes, Campbell. Like, just the best.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, I think Kevin is probably right. Just recast everyone, but
like
Campbell.
I know we're talking about Metal Gear Solid, right? But like, I can't wait until me, Jack, and Christian talk about FF7, because like, what I want is for someone that has never played Metal Gear Solid to feel what I felt at the end of that remake, of like, there is an entire IP that I've never given the light of day. That now I'm at a point, Jack, where like I'll hear music from FF7 and like chills and tears, and like there's like a powerful, like, childlike wonder to FF7 that I have, that I don't know if I would have gotten it if I just played the original game, because of how disconnected that game is from modern games that I spend a lot more time with. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I think I really want a remake for Metal Gear Solid. Like, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that, it's like MGS is outdated as like OG FF7. Like, I think MGS is a lot more impressive from like a technical level. On top of like, obviously the game has voice acting, FF7 didn't. The overall just like design and the way he did cutscenes and music, like it's definitely a lot more of a more technically impressive game than FF7, looking from our modern day perspective, right? But I think you could do a lot to really like reinvigorate MGS for specifically like the person that I was a month ago, where yeah, I'd heard about it, yeah, I don't support it, I've never actually delving in. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like that's why I hope it's more of a remake that takes it in literal terms of like, hey, we're remaking this with a modern day scope, you know, because I think it could be dope for sure.
Kevin, you were saying that like having someone like the way you felt after beating Final Fantasy VII Remake for a Metal Gear Solid remake. Do you feel like if it was a 1-1 remake of Metal Gear Solid, you would feel like you did for Final Fantasy VII?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Because like even when I look back and like if Remake didn't do those things and if Remake was just a plain Jane just one for one beat, I don't know if it would have been as attached with it.
Yeah.
You know?
I
because
feel like
like it's like yeah, I mean because like now I wonder and like now we're all wondering now like what are they gonna do in part 2 Remake? Like where are we like Eric's quote where it's like, you know, boundless unscary freedom or like something like those three words, like that is breaking the fourth wall. Like you're like, we're about to do this, like, and you're not really gonna know what's really gonna happen because it's not gonna be 1-1, you know. So I think like if it was 1-1, I think I'd be like, okay, like all right, cool, we're gonna go here, this that's gonna happen, and like it's just gonna look better and be in a modern context. Well, like those are great, but I think you could do that, and I think it's better to do that if you don't have Kojima involved, which likely he won't be, right? So I think that's the best way of working around that as well. Of like, hey, it's also not going to be the same 1-1 because we're not 1-1 in terms of not having Kojima involved, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that would work to its betterment for sure, you know.
I foresee a world where, like, if it was a 1-1 remake of Metal Gear, people would just play it and go, so that was it? That was Metal Gear? Like, yeah. I guess, whereas, yeah, like you said, like, Final Fantasy VII, like, for everyone after that, well, there were some people upset, but a lot of it was just people like, oh my god, I get to be excited about this for the next, like, 10 years, I think, which was the way to go.
Probably longer, bro. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how long that takes, man. Oh, man.
I hear Saturday is going to be a big day. I don't know.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. So, I feel like we basically painted the picture of what the ideal remake would be. There's two paths. Both paths would be pretty happy with, but is there anything final to say about Metal Gear Solid 1 before we touch a little bit on what's next?
I think I honestly, I don't know if there's ever been better voice acting in a game since, to be honest. Maybe I'm just being crazy, but I really love the performances in that game. I don't know what to say. Like, I know, yeah, maybe stuff like Naughty Dog, a lot of the stuff is maybe more impressive, but I think everyone gets it right in that PS1 game in a way that I think it might be one of my favorite, like, ensemble performances ever. Like, maybe my favorite from games. I don't know.
I think MGS1 definitely has one of the best cast of characters in a video game. Like, it's hard to really find with pretty much everyone in that game. There's something you can attach to. Some more than others, but like when you think of like legendary video game characters and you think of like big casts, MGS1 is easily top 5. Like it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and Omar, I like the point you made too, because I think, well, if you compare something from this era to modern day, like, it doesn't really hold a candle. I would argue that, like you mentioned also, and we've talked about on the show, like, it is sort of where all this modern thinking for how to present stories in games began. I think you have to look at it comparing it to itself at this point, and I feel the same way about Final Fantasy VII. And I know, like, some people will say, "Oh, Final Fantasy VII looks terrible. Like it looks bad." But like, no shit. Like they were going for realism in '97. So like, stop comparing it to looking at it as like going for realism and like evaluate it on how it exists within its own world. That's how I look at older games now. And
sorry, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, and for Metal Gear Solid, I do think in the context of its own world, like every performance in that game, nobody is like worse than somebody else in that cast. Like everybody did bring it. I think visually, animation wise, within the world of that game, I think it looks fantastic. I love how that game looks and is presented and everything. The way that I love how Final Fantasy VII looks on a PS1 and is presented. And the chunky little characters, like, yeah, if you think that they're trying to make it that represent a real person, yes, it looks bad. But if you look back at that, that's not what it is anymore. Like, yeah, at the time, Kojima was trying to make it the most realistic representation of a secret agent possible. But, like, looking at it now, it's like, that's an art choice. That's a direction they went with the game. And within the game itself, it's all congruous. There's nothing that stands out as being bad comparing it to itself, which is my favorite thing about it and why it feels so special, I think.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Like, even like just the way I don't know if we even mentioned this once, but the UI in Metal Gear Solid is some of the best ever. I think it looks so clean, and just the L2 and R2 to like go through the items. It's the sounds. It's lovely, and I think, yeah, I don't know if it sounds messed up to say I think the game looks beautiful, but I really do think it looks beautiful. Same way I think, like you mentioned, Final Fantasy VII, like those pre-rendered backgrounds, like
yeah,
these games they stand out. I think they hold up on a, like, yeah, you look at like, I don't know, God of War next to it, like, yeah, a big technical gap, but like this stuff still looks great.
Yeah,
like
so.
just in a different way. I'm like,
for sure. Kevin, do you have any final things to say on Metal Gear Solid 1?
I think what gets me a lot in games is sound. So to give you like sound effects, like I can't wait to like hear. Hopefully they do and like have like a remake that we're talking about. Like I still want to hear Snake walking in like an empty room, and like the echoing in those footsteps like evoke like a sense of like space that he's in, you know, like that does a really good job at pulling off the overall setting that he's in at a given time and stuff like that. So I hope that they honestly keep a lot of the like original sounds in there as well. On top of like if they're able to somehow reuse the voice audio, like maybe it was compressed from PlayStation 1 and maybe they still have the raws of those VOs somewhere archived. Like that would be cool if we're able to get the raw and just have them sound better just with better hardware. I don't know, I'm not sure if that's possible, but that would be cool as well. But yeah, like I think above all else, like, you know, when you the one thing that I would kind of want to keep 1-to-1 in a remake would be like the sound and the soundtrack, overall music and everything. I think that could be super cool, especially the like going through the menu and those low chimes that you hear as you move through it. Like it's really sad. It has a feel to it that's really satisfying. But yeah, no, I mean, MGS1, I really dug its story. You know, gameplay didn't work too much for me in some cases that are more pronounced than others overall, but I also think it's a great game. Like I also think it's great, and I'm happy that, you know, I'm filling this gaming hole that I've had for a long time. Right. You know, so I'm really excited to see what's next.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'll say this too, just to answer your thing about the music. I know, again, it depends on the scope of what the remake is, but with the Spyro trilogy, there's a toggle that lets you have the original orchestrations and music in the game. And
oh, that's cool.
For me,
that's cool.
specifically, I like it's a really big thing for me with like music and stuff with older games from my childhood. So when I played the remasters of Spyro, I immediately switched. I was like, okay, the new theme, the new version of it sounds good, but I switched it over, and it was such a better experience for me because like it carried over that feeling more of like, yeah, all these worlds are completely different, but the music is there, and I'm in that world again. So it's possible, but again, it just depends.
What do you think of the Final Fantasy VII remake soundtrack?
I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I think that was a case where it was so easy to piss off fans of that game by ruining some of those compositions, but they nailed it. Like,
it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, I don't think that's a lot to ask for a soundtrack of that quality for Metal Gear Solid 1, but I think if they want to, they kind of have to do it. Like, honestly, I really think Square Enix should make this game. Like, I don't know how you make it happen, but
I would not hate that, honestly.
Yeah.
I would not hate that. How they did FF7, I would not hate that at all. I would be so down. So down.
Yeah, and somebody suggested Capcom earlier. If they gave it to like M2 or somebody who's like been doing the Resident Evil remakes, I also would not mind. But before we just give like a tease about Metal Gear Solid 2.
Wait, did I hear Jack's impressions about Metal Gear Solid? The final thoughts?
Jack, did I start with you, or did I skip? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I don't have too much else to say. I was very enamored replaying this. I still had the same sort of issues I had when I first played it. But I think it's a game that deserves a sequel, and I think it's structurally, I think it's everything's all quite there for this game to be remade. The more I think of it, the more I picture it as structurally Arkham Asylum in a way. I know people compare that to like Castlevania or Metroid type games, but I think structurally Arkham Asylum and Metal Gear Solid 1 are comparable in their own sort of unique ways. So, yeah.
Damn, I never thought about that, but yeah.
I think that'd be that has me excited. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Control also, I'll say. I played like the first 3 hours of Control. The first 3 hours, I'm getting a bunch of different key cards. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Before we talk about Metal Gear Solid 2, like predictions ahead of it or whatever, is there anything you want to say, Jack, about the movie? I was going to ask you.
About the Oscar Isaac movie?
Yes. Do you have a cast in mind or anything for anybody?
I don't know. I'm still not convinced this is a real movie. I'll believe it when I see it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm really bad with like sort of thinking about casting, but
sure.
This is another one where like I feel like they could nail this one as a movie. Every time they start doing these things, like they're doing this with The Last of Us, I'm like, man, they should just do maybe a series. Because I don't know how you start to condense Metal Gear games into 2 to 3 hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could. Yeah, I think I'd like a mini series for each one. I think would be cool.
Yeah, and I know somebody. I saw the voice actor for Colonel said something of like somebody recently pitched I don't know how legit it was, but like a Metal Gear anime, and then I was like, Konami owns Castlevania, and like they did the Castlevania anime, and this is going on like 3 seasons now. Why haven't they done Metal Gear? Because that just like you're saying, that makes so much more sense. I think.
Yeah.
But,
I think that's because someone doesn't want to piss off Kojima. I think it's someone like trying to like protect that relationship in the future or something. Because that would make so much sense, right? The most sense. Like you go to Konami, I think you want Metal Gear, right? Yeah. But no one's done it yet.
Mm-hmm. Well,
can I bring up my casting for the movie real quick?
Sure.
I've mentioned this to you, Christian, before, but I really think they should do Domhnall Gleeson as Liquid and Oscar Isaac as Snake. Mm-hmm. I think that guy could do a really good annoying British guy voice. And I know they don't really look alike, but I think that's the cast right there. I think it speaks to the Ex Machina and Star Wars connection. I think it would be perfect.
They definitely don't look alike.
Yeah.
No, they don't at all. Yeah. But it's okay.
Yeah, I don't think that matters all that much.
It really doesn't.
No, me neither.
Recessive genes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think the implication is that Snake and Liquid don't even look all that similar to begin with.
Yeah, like Meryl points it out. Like it's like, wait, I thought you were him. Like, but that can be just like in passing, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, in the Twin Snakes, I think they just have the same exact face model for both of them. and it looks kind of messed up. Yeah, I don't know.
Kevin, anything you wanna...
General Hux is who we're talking about.
Yes.
Wait, so right. Wait, so yeah, okay, so feasibly, like Oscar Isaac would. Okay, well, before I go on that train of thought, I kept looking at my wall trying to figure some things out in my head. I'm excited because there's a lot of video game adaptation that are going to be series of movies that now I care about a lot, right? Borderlands is one of them. The Last of Us is another one. There's another that I'm forgetting right now.
With Jake
Mortal
Gyllenhaal.
Kombat.
That one. Damn, there's one more.
Uncharted?
I forgot. Uncharted, yes, that one is. Yeah, that one is like so. There, I have a lot
God
of
of War, right? As well.
I don't think God of War is getting anything right that we know right now.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot that now I have a heavy investment in, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm at least excited that I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm as excited to see Uncharted and see how that turns out as I'm a Metal Gear, but I am excited that I'm now gonna be able to have a context of like what Metal Gear is supposed to feel like and sound like, and all that. So that's gonna be cool to see. Like that trailer with the Metal Gear Solid theme music, like dude, it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit.
Yeah.
But so Oscar Isaac would have to be Liquid, right?
No,
Kinda.
I don't think so.
There's a world where like he plays another person, but like.
But that also gives it away to new people to Metal Gear, right? If they see, like, I don't know.
Because I think that's probably going to be a big reveal, and you want to save that, because nobody really saw it coming in the game, because you just can't make that out outside of like if you're really paying attention and hear that Meryl says like, oh, and there's all those comparisons from Foxhound to the boss, but they don't say like visually, they're talking about Liquid, but just in the way he acts, not really anything else. So, but yeah. So looking forward, Metal Gear Solid 2 next week. We're still trying to figure out exactly where we're stopping, but we're doing all of the tanker next week, and then potentially maybe like an extra half hour after that. So I guess because me, Omar, and Jack know what we're about to get into.
Okay.
I would like to hear Kevin's thoughts, predictions, expectations for next week. Metal Gear Solid 2. Game came out of the PS2. Game came out how many years after the original? 98 and 02?
3?
Is it 4?
Was it 2001 or is it 2002?
That was 2002. I could be wrong.
You might be right. Yeah, maybe it was 4. Yeah.
So a 4-year gap, a hardware gap. Expectations. Like, I don't even know how much you know about Metal Gear Solid 2, but lay it all out.
I know. Okay, so I kind of would like it to pick up maybe right after MGS. Maybe like we experience the fallout of, because like some big shit pretty happened. Some big things happened, right? Mm-hmm. Am I saying that partially because I want my boy Otacon to still be involved? I hope so. I don't know, man, but I haven't heard a lot about him. Granted, I haven't heard a lot about any of the characters besides Snake, and I guess Big Boss, I guess. But so we'll see. I like it to. I do find it interesting that now feasibly Snake is on the clock, right? Due to this Fox die, right? So I think that could be an interesting element of like perhaps Snake is tying loose ends or like something like that. But I don't know if they left it off like that. Like, does he have? Because he kind of wants to. That's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, like where are we going? Because it does have like a very definitive end. Like I guess a prequel could be a thing. I don't know how jazzed I'd be about that, to be honest, but I don't know. We'll see. But I'm hoping for more Otacon. I'm trying not to look at facial expressions of you guys because I don't
sorry.
want to yeah, no, it's cool. I'm just trying to give my thoughts.
No,
and,
I'm just smelling because my mom's good cooking right now. We're getting a steak pie in a couple of minutes. That's it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's smelling really good in my house.
Beautiful.
I'm trying to give you everything right now, just all over the place. You can't read it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Overall, I hope I hope the game plays better. It must, right? Like so that I shouldn't really be that worried about. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I just don't think that. Damn, like now that I think about it, I'm more like shit. Is MGS1 the latest one in the timeline? Are we going backwards? But then who the fuck is homeboy with the beard? You know, is that Big Boss, or is it that no, Kev? We're moving forward. Snake grows a beard, right? I do know that. I don't know where the homie Otacon is, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping for more Otacon. I hope we get that. Okay. But then there's the two endings. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, so because the Meryl ending, I believe, is the one that's canon. So like,
that's highly unfortunate.
Right, but like it's heavily implied in our ending that Otacon is still alive. You know, it's like, hey, he's in this building still, send search and rescue. But if you want one thing improved gameplay wise that you want to see, like what would you think it would be?
Definitely aiming and shooting.
Okay.
For sure. Like that, yeah, that. I don't know, because like, yeah, okay, so we're on PS2. You know, PS2 games run better, obviously, right? I think, yeah, no, given PS2, there's gotta be analog stick support, so that's a positive. R3, L3, all those fancy things, you know, that's neat. So we'll see. And I will be playing MGS 2, 3, 4, Peace Walker. I gotta figure out Revengeance. That I might have to buy my PS3 or something like that. On PS Now. And then MGS5 I can download. So that's gonna be all dandy. Nice. But yeah, so we'll see. I'm excited though.
Very nice. Well, Jack, spoiler free, obviously, as vague as possible, I guess.
I was gonna spoil the whole thing.
Fuck it, just lay it out.
Going into 2,
I don't think you could.
Yeah, I don't think you could.
No, I truly can't. Going
into 2 on a replay. Again, vaguest terms possible. What are you looking forward to, I guess? Where's your focus gonna lie? Maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah. I loved every Metal Gear game when I played through them all. But it's funny how little I remember about this game. Like, sure. Big beats, sure, I know what's gonna happen, but like the smaller conversations, what's going on, you know, in certain things, like it's hard to say, but yeah, just like small, like I mean, like small gameplay sections. Like I don't really remember that all too well. So that's what has me excited, like sort of the smaller moments of this game, because I already know like the big beats and all that sort of stuff. So bringing it down to a micro level, I'm excited to go back and experience that.
Yeah, I think on a similar level, I remember a lot of lines, and I remember some of the way we conclude. So I think I'm going to be like hyper fixated on teases and like implications of things throughout MGS2, the way that I kind of was looking for at 1, but like I know 1 way more. So I think going into this, I'm gonna like really be looking and like scouring for every little detail that I could be like, oh, that makes sense, you know. Like I think that's where my focus is gonna be. Omar, what about you?
Just to laugh. Yeah, I can't fucking wait. Is what I'll say. I, honest to God, I don't know how much of this game I really remember. I played it one time in 8th grade. And what I really remember is the experience it had on me. Like, I don't want to say anything. But
is this anyone's favorite Metal Gear?
I don't know if we should
I don't
say
know
that.
Yeah, I don't know if we should say that.
Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. Let's not.
So,
Expectations, Kevin.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Well,
My
but
favorite
like,
is Survive.
Gotta protect the flower.
right, but like
Protect the flower.
at the same time, we say expectations. Like, I don't know, Kevin. I have no idea what your expectations are based on just the way we're dancing around what this game's supposed to be. But like,
Yeah, I got nothing.
I'm wondering if we should show Kevin that E3 trailer.
Ooh, that might be interesting. Yeah, that might be interesting to go see a trailer.
Yeah.
Guys, I can pull
I
up
think-
live if you want my reactions.
Wait,
no,
MGS2
might-
trailer?
no. One of us will send it to you. Do not look at
Yeah,
anything.
don't look
Okay,
at the
you're
Google
right.
anything.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Um,
Okay. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think you should go
Or no.
seeing a trailer.
Yeah, like when
that's
you,
fine.
Do you know the trailer I'm talking about, Jack?
No, but I don't think anyone should watch any trailers for anything.
Fair.
fine.
Omar, I know the trailer you're
Protect
talking
the
about.
flower.
I know the trailer you're talking about, and I agree with you that I do think having that context.
Yeah,
would
I almost
interesting,
I agree with
but-
you, Jack. I avoid trailers, but this one in this game, I almost feel like it's integral to the experience. But
Really?
maybe I should DM you afterwards or something.
Yeah.
but,
Okay.
like
I
don't know.
I absolutely hear where Omar's coming from, and I'd have to rewatch it because I know I know that your reasoning, I know everything, and I can 99% co-sign it. I would just have to watch it again. I think.
yeah, Kevin, don't do anything until we verify.
Deal.
But
I think I've never seen it, but I can almost certainly understand why you would do that. But
Yeah.
no, I just don't think there's any need to watch a trailer, like, because you didn't do that for MGS1, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, like however much we want to protect the notion of having a cast member that has nothing,
Right.
I think that could be valuable. You know,
true.
I
You don't even know when it's set,
you know.
which is
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
so
no,
cool
I
to look up.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Because like
All right.
Kevin, I'm assuming you're probably starting it soonish, right?
Yeah,
Like within the next like couple 2-3 days, maybe. I don't know.
yeah. If next week's episode 1, then we'll probably do next Wednesday. You know,
Okay.
or this upcoming Wednesday from you guys are hearing this. Yeah,
Okay.
probably do it
Maybe-
that day.
Once we finish the game, I'll just tell you how cool the trailer is, and maybe you can watch it.
Okay.
But
Although maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the trailer is integral, but
Yeah.
I'd say no.
it's a moment in history.
In the most vague way, and for the audience also, because like I think the trailer sets the tone going into this game in a way that pays off when you see the game through to the end. I think.
Because I am antsy to see and play MGS2.
Yeah.
I just want to know
That's the
what
thing.
happens after this.
That's the thing. I feel like you should wait till you actually play the game. You know.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh,
That's fine.
fuck.
It's
But
okay.
that's my opinion. If we had to vote on it, that'd be how I vote.
Yeah, because Jack, it's like it's. I can't compare it to anything right now because
I
like,
know what you would compare it to. I know exactly what you would compare it to. But
I don't even know what I would compare it. Well, maybe I do.
would saying the comparison be too
Yes,
much?
Yes.
absolutely.
God damn, I can't get nothing.
Can you DM me it real quick? I need to know.
I can't get nothing.
So
Oh man, I'm starving out here.
after we finish the recording for this episode, I'll rewatch it and double check because like I do think there's a world where the impact of what this game is will be stronger with the way that this trailer tees up the game. Also, I think this is fair saying too. This is completely non-spoilery at all. Kevin, the section that we're gonna play next week was basically like a demo for the game. So like that was like a big popular thing. Like people associate the beginning of this game very heavily with like marketing and stuff. So
Okay.
what
I don't-
was it? Wasn't it included in some game?
I think
Zone
so.
of the Enders.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how people went to see a particular movie to see the trailer for
Tenet?
Phantom Menace.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah. I don't know if we even mentioned this, but I think Kojima has always been integral in the marketing of his games. To the point where
Sure.
he cuts his own trailers. I think sometimes he wants you to see stuff before you play the game in a lot of cases. But
Yeah. So
I'm usually pretty anti-trailer, but
Yeah, me
in this
too.
one case,
I am coming at this from a point of ignorance because I haven't seen that trailer.
okay.
But I am someone who just generally says no to trailers.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it feels more like a prologue, kind of.
I'll have to watch it immediately.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, but I think unless anybody else has any final things before we leave off and dive into Metal Gear 2 next week, speak whatever you want to say about that, and then plug yourself, and we can wrap up. Jack, go ahead.
Sure. I am very excited to jump into Metal Gear Solid 2. Just to jump back into a PS2 game. For me, it feels like it's been such a long time. So, like, I played Shadow of the Colossus recently, but, you know, that's a remake and that sort of thing. But just like a fresh PS2 game, that's very exciting. So, hyped for that. Metal Gear Solid is an amazing franchise, so I'm just excited to continue on with that. You can follow me on social media at Fascinated Jack.
Very nice. Kevin, how about you?
Yeah, I primarily started like caring about video games on a deeper level on PS2, right? And due to a lot of circumstances where like I wasn't allowed to play rated M games, I wasn't allowed to play video games during the weekdays, only on the weekends. So like it was I love that I always had that I wasn't able to like fully engulf in like a normal context of like being able to just have more time with it. So it is cool going back to see what Metal Gear was like on the PS2. I'm excited to see where Metal Gear goes from the end of Metal Gear Solid 1, you know. And yeah, so I'm excited for that. You can watch me stream it. Some live reactions, you know. youtube.com/PlayStation Source. Hopefully there's not that many toxic streams moving forward, you know. We'll see. Hopefully, right? I don't know. But yeah, check it out on there. And if you missed the live stream, you can of course watch it on the playlist. Those are public on the channel as well. And Twitter at PSSourceVids, all that good stuff.
Omar?
In December of 2019, I went to the dump with my mom, and there was a CRT lying on the floor, and I took it home with me. I just stole the CRT from the dump. And at the time, I think I was maybe falling out of games a little bit, keeping up with the modern cycle. But this CRT really invigorated like my love for old games again, and playing games on original hardware and the PS2, the PS1, the freaking GameCube stuff. To where, I can't wait to revisit one of these PS2 like tent poles again. And I have a Twitch channel where I play a lot of these games on these old hardware that please check out. Ohms the Chef on Twitch. Metal Gear Solid 2, baby. Sons of Liberty. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait,
That's
even
sick.
that title, Sons of
It's so sick.
Liberty.
Yeah. Kevin, last question. We didn't talk about that at all. The title, anything, any feelings? What do you think?
So I think Solid and Liquid are referred to as like the sons of Big Boss, right?
Yes.
I think. Wait, shit, Liquid's dead. Wait, no, is Liquid dead? Liquid died. Did he die?
Yeah.
He died like 3 times in that game, right?
Yeah. And remember, there's that secret ending in Metal Gear Solid 1. So.
Yeah, okay, there is that. So Liberty,
Mr. President.
Liberty,
Lady Liberty.
Freedom, of course. You know, Lady Liberty, right?
The
You
best,
know?
the third. You know, with all this stuff going on.
Okay,
Maybe.
that's some things to ponder.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. Sons of Liberty. Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting.
The only thing I'll add is scissors. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Chun2D2. This show is available youtube.com/joyclicks for the video version, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any other podcast service for the audio version if you want to get involved. You can leave a review, rating. It just takes a quick second if you want to be on top of the entire Long Play Club moving forward with the rest of Metal Gear Solid and everything moving forward. It will all be under the same podcast feed. Different playlists on YouTube, broken up game by game, but podcast feed will remain the same until we get to Death Stranding. And if you want to support the shows, patreon.com/joyclicks, you can check us out there. With the $1 tier, $5 tier, $5 gets you producer credit like Chris Ackes and Aaron Easton. And yes, that wraps up the Metal Gear Solid 1 experience. And I believe once again, the only thing I can think of as a sign-off is that the best is yet to come. Does anybody disagree?
Nope.
Let's do it. Best is yet to come.
Best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come.